anybody?
Okay, now it's official. Everybody in the audience ready?
For all the applicants, ready?
Yeah, right. Okay, welcome to the June 3rd meeting of the Hamlet Planning Board. Okay. At this time, I'd just like to explain the exits that are out the door and right and left. There's an AED on the wall across the way. To be used if needed. Everybody gets your cell phones turned down or shut off. Okay, for the duration of the meeting. And, Mr. Rich, call the roll.
Okay, Sharon Steigerwald. Here. Steve Law.
Yep.
Dave Martin.
Here.
Rich Slider.
Yep.
James Nesbitt.
Yes.
Ed Nelson.
Yep.
Steve Hittner.
Okay, has everybody had a chance to, review last month's meeting, May 6, 2024? Are there any changes, corrections, deletions? If not, should I? Sure.
Make a motion to approve the 6 meeting minutes.
Steve, Henderson.
Sharon
Okay.
Steigerwald.
Yes.
Steve Law.
Abstain.
Dave Martin.
Yes.
Rich Slider.
Yes.
James Nesbitt.
Yes.
Ed Nelson.
Yes.
Steve Hittner.
Yes.
Okay, first item on the agenda is property merge for the Zamaria subdivision, 75 Walker Road. At this time, if you don't have a copy of it or don't know that, our board attorney also represents that applicant, so he cannot be asked for comment at this time. So, representing Zamaria.
Is it okay if I sit? Is it okay if I sit?
Well, I don't know, there's an awful lot of people.
12 miles today, it's.
Just speak up.
So as you can see, you've seen this plan before. Adam was here, I think, last year with some issues with the building itself. The lot to the immediately to the west was an approved building lot, but he does not want to use it as a building lot anymore. And I think that and the reassessment kind of prompted him to combine the lots together, which is what we're trying to do tonight. And he's not planning on doing any further expansion of that building or anything with that property itself. If anything, he's gonna see about getting it farmed the next couple of years and then exploring options of planting trees or something like that. But there is no building proposed for in the near future.
So,
And they're both lots are currently part of the subdivision. Pretty good.
so this line just goes away and becomes one real shape.
Yeah, exactly.
JT,
No engineering concerns. We're not creating new lots, so I believe you don't need to have a public hearing. You can waive that, but that's your decision, no engineering.
as far as secret, would this be unlisted?
Unlisted or exempt, that too.
I know Keith sent an email out, and there has there been any correspondence back from the town attorney on this?
No.
Was a copy sent of that memorandum?
Maureen Warner? No.
Yeah.
We just received this today and she was unavailable.
Okay. I like continuity, and even if it's gonna happen from time to time, okay, where there's a conflict between somebody here and on the board or any of the advisors and stuff, then we can go forward with the process if we need to get somebody else involved. Maybe a little bit more notice. Or as long as the agenda and everything has been out prior to the meeting. Okay. I think we can make a certain determination on our own, but legal comments are always needed. And which you're very good at that. So that being said, we can move on a little bit. Cheryl?
I have no concerns.
Okay. Sure.
No concern.
No concern.
No concerns. All righty, so this becomes a merge or a combination.
That's the game plan.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion? Actually, I think it's gonna come from Steve. All right? And what you're feeling for Superman.
Court considers an unlisted action with a negative declaration. Same thing as a property split or property merge. Property split is an unlisted action.
This is a merge. So we're not creating a new lot. We're putting it. So,
Good discussion.
yeah, so I would, you know, unlisted would be the more conservative route to take. Because it means you look at it a little harder than it just being exempt, which is a type 2 action.
Very good.
I would consider the application Anthony Zamir, 75 Walker Road, for property merge to be an unlisted action with negative declaration.
Second. Dave seconded. All of those, please.
Sharon Steigerwald,
Yes.
Steve Law,
Yes.
Dave Martin,
Yes.
Chris Schleider,
Yes.
James Nesbitt,
Yes.
Ed Nelson,
Yes.
Steve Hittner.
Okay. Based on the application and the information provided for this application, and the fact that the seeker has been declared, what would be the findings in way of the motion from this board?
My concern I hear right now is, because I brought it up last month, I think, and the question was tax numbers. Because now this will give a new tax number. We gotta make sure that we're got it in the right slot, the right page when it comes. Final.
No, that happens all the time, Jim.
Yeah.
With combinations and splits, you know, we have a number for the one that is, let's say, 3.23, and the other one is 3.24. This will get put back together and become 3.26 or something like that.
And it's not something.
But it doesn't affect the outcome.
No, but when this is filed, they'll assign a new tax count. Being larger and more acreage.
It's beyond our scope, and it's determined by another entity, reviewed by our own assessor for some time.
And when the tax roll comes out,
So,
it'll have to.
speaking to the tax count, it doesn't even need to be part of the motion.
Yeah, that's what I brought up last month.
That's what we're getting at.
Nope.
Okay, very good. So you want to put that, expired or?
Sure, and if you can help me with this last name. Very much.
Zambiara.
Zambiara. Okay. I'd like to make a motion for approval of Mr. Zambiara, owner of the Anthony C. Zambiara, seeking a property merge for two parcels. One and two parcels located on 75 Walker Road. And that will be the tax company.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Yes, second.
We're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way around. Okay, and then we're all in for there. All right, call the votes, please.
Sharon Steigerwald,
Yes.
Steve Law,
Yes.
Dave Barnes.
Yes.
Rich Slider,
Yes.
James Nestor.
Yes.
Ed Nelson.
Yes.
Steve Chambers.
Very good. Very good. Next item on the agenda, JTB Land LLC, 1765 Redmond Road. Who owns that?
Right.
Dean Farley's children. Dean Farley's children.
Okay, well, just- Your name's on the map.
Oh, you ready for, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you guys were still looking at the maps. Yeah, this is, the Brightly Farm on Redland Road, on the west side of Redland Road. Dean approached me about 2 months ago. They were looking to upgrade some service down there. Niagara Mall, National Grid, I think it was, gonna whack them 25,000 for upgrade in the electric. They said if he created a separate lot, it'd be nothing. So he's gonna, he knew the price of doing the survey, so he can have a separate electrical service for that lot.
Lot one?
Yes.
Why do I feel there should be some public service, involvement and stuff like this? This is just a comment. I'm throwing it out there, maybe we wanna.
Those utility companies do that all the time.
So Rich, this is, so you're showing utility, this is new,
This is what he's
so
telling
there's
me.
utility poles shown here,
Yeah.
here, and so what's on it?
Well, right now, what's on there is the main farm. And he wanted to split off a service because he's talking about putting up another building back here. And they needed to upgrade the service. And that's what they were telling him, is that it's gonna cost them 25 grand. Yes. And if you went with a separate lot, they wouldn't charge him anything. If anything, it'd be minimal. Now, I don't, this is what I was told. I know nothing about utilities, other than I know that those guys sometimes will set transformers for nothing if they know it's gonna service more than one lot, or they're gonna charge you up to 3 grand to set a transformer if it's only gonna be one lot. I mean, that's how fickle these utility companies are. This is what this is what he was telling me, this is why he wanted to do it.
Talk about being user friendly to the area of the business. You ever heard this stuff?
This must be something new, I never heard that before.
That
You can always check with him, I mean, and I know we're gonna have a public hearing on this, and I told him to be here for that.
Rich, I have just one other question.
Sure.
I mean, this looked like nothing to me until this came up.
Mhm.
What is this dashed line in the corner here?
Oh, that's gravel, they got their apple crates.
Oh.
Staged on, that's a staging area.
So it's, all right, so that means it's work area.
It's being utilized for storage.
So if they told them that, wouldn't they have given them that, something in writing on that? That would definitely,
I don't ask questions, when they want something like this done, that's fine by me, I just do what I gotta do. If this is what he's telling me why he's doing it, that's fine by me too, but I mean, at the end of the day, he just wants to separate, what is it, 10 acres or so from the farm. Five.
Rich, we get it.
Okay.
The north arrow is not pointing anywhere.
No, I'm-
It's a compass. Okay. Well, let's go through this as we go down.
Yeah, so auto engineering wise, this is a new wrinkle, but, I got a question about what that south, east corner was about, the dash line. If that's being used for this parcel, then we get into cross-access easements, because if he sells this lot and it's used for 1765, then we have an access easement issue created, so,
It's purely a staging area though.
well, I can't stage on my neighbor's property, and you could sell it tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
if it's subdivided.
Mm-hmm.
And then then it would need to be identified as,
You could sell it, you could sell it tomorrow, but you just bought the property to the north and did the same thing, so. I'm not gonna say.
Just for edification and scratching on the line, which way does this work?
North.
and I guess, Chris, to that point, it's like, there's no development proposed, so these lines
No,
are paved, won't change anything.
once they sell a replacement on there, then it would be a little.
You know,
Yeah, this is just property description, I was just asking a question.
it keep,
Because if they increase impervious service and it's going to the north, you've got a bunch of properties on the inside, that swell would have to be able to take it, but it's beyond this. So,
and Keith and I Keith brought up a good point about the remaining lands here. The, I don't know how many acres all this is, but will the county be okay without meets and bounds on
Yep.
the remaining land? Because it's already a,
It's not impacting, it's not, we're only taking a chunk out of the center of the property. They've done this, it's been like that since I've been doing this for 30 years. It's not that we have to survey the whole farm, because nobody wants to pay to have the whole farm surveyed. If we're taking just enough out of it, because we're creating this lot, I'm not making those lines parallel to anything, I'm just making them perpendicular off the road. I'm just creating a block.
my only question is sometimes it's hard to tell whether you're creating a setback or an area variance or just something that's not.
Well, the only thing I was very mindful of is that the buildings that are near the property were sufficiently far enough away for zoning.
Right, and your setback details are good, and
They should be according to town code.
Yep.
With a foot, with a roof. Which is what I like to do, I don't go right to the number, right?
all right,
Build it a foot.
maybe I missed something. The other dotted lines we have there is that parking lot over here.
Not parking lot, that's where his apple crates are staged. But it is, just like JP said, I had to show it because it is an access point, or not an access point, but it's an issue because it's gravel.
Okay, Keith,
Yes, sir. So Rich, I noticed that the tax account number on the application is different from the one we see on the map. Is that just a typo?
That's probably.
equivalent to,
Yeah, and that has a two
Oh,
rather
two.
than a 5. Right.
and that probably tax clear to two.
Okay. I mean, I think I see what's going on here. You're creating one lot technically, leaving the remaining lands to sit there because of the cost of the survey. So I have no concerns about what's happening.
and the tax account, which just needs to be corrected, right?
On the application.
Well, it's actually on the map, apparently it's fine.
Just the application.
So I was wondering if there was something else going on, and it's not. So.
Sure.
No permit.
This is gonna require a public hearing.
Yes.
Here, it's Steve Whitman, right?
No, right, you didn't go through the rest of the board.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I wonder who did the math on this,
The math,
the math?
as far as the overall acreage and the separation,
Yeah. not being picky, but 116.58 minus 5 point something would be less than 111.58. So something on this is wrong.
Well, you're taking into account that, lower right-hand corner's got 5 acres taken out of it, right?
Now, your lot one that you're taking out of it is either 5.013 or the center line 5.234 from the 116.58. So the
Well, the
math-
remaining acreage is
Yeah.
probably to the center line of the road. It doesn't go to the right of way. That's why I have to break it down. When I'm creating a lot, I have to break it down to the center line and to the right of way. That is based on deed information which goes to the center line of the road. And that's where the acreage is coming from. So if that's what's reported on the assessor's map, and that's what the deed says, my map shows what's being taken out to the right of way, or to the center line of the road. And whatever's left over is, to the right of way for lot one.
Okay. I was just reading what was left over and what was taken out, it just seemed to.
Yeah, no, because none of the assessor's map shows acreage to the center line and to the right of way. It's either or, because it's the way the deeds are
You
written.
never think of it that way.
Yep.
Only you would, because
I see it.
legal description
Yeah.
opens up a whole different means and bounds, I guess.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah, no issues.
I think I'm okay with it.
Okay, we're gonna have to set a date for public hearing. Do we need to have any more paperwork, like from the utility companies or anything else like that? So that question can be answered at a public hearing if it comes up, about the need to do it this way? Or it is not within our purview to ask for that?
You can certainly ask, I'm not sure it's required, however.
Right.
I mean, if that weren't the case,
You know, it's a good public disclosure, because like Dave says, this is something new. Okay? And there might be a good reason for it, and if it was explained by the applicant or the utility company, it'd be something that we might need to take into account in the future. Whether, especially if something needed some zoning, there's a practical difficulty here that isn't normally thought about. Am I overthinking this?
It doesn't, I mean, if they
It
want to
doesn't
carve
matter.
out 5-something acres out of another piece, who are we to say why, as long as it's.
And it's agricultural, and don't they have certain flexibility with agricultural? Yeah.
You would think.
They have certain
This is
things.
Kinda-
new, I
kinda
never heard of
sticks-
this. You ever heard of this before, Phil?
Well, yeah, I know we ran into a problem in Kendall over it, but I don't remember exactly what the stipulations were as far as needing an address for three-phase power and where it's going.
The bottom line is it doesn't make a difference
No,
anyway. But it'd be nice to know why.
Maybe show them next month and see if it's for a different reason too. I don't know.
Just have Mr. Brightly tell us why,
Okay.
or reason.
Tell them it might, just be prepared for that,
Mm-hmm.
seeing as they're not here.
Well, full disclosure, he called me this morning, wanted to know if he should be here, and I said, tonight? No. Next month? Oh, yeah.
Well, everybody's busy this time of year.
Well,
And
try to get it in.
Before we look at a motion, the swale that's in our Janine isn't part of any of our floodplain or
Not that I'm aware of.
conservation easements in here.
Not that I'm aware of.
It's being generated because they're going to three-phase. What would you do with that 5-acre lot with the three-phase? The three-phase can only go in the big garage, the big part where they do all the.
That's refrigeration.
it says right here, the
Yeah.
purpose of this is to build a new building.
Yeah, so that's a problem I
Look,
have.
and then he's
I don't
putting the building.
understand why it requires, why we're going to get three-phase.
I think there's probably 3 phases there.
Oh, yeah, he's got
Oh,
three
wait,
phase.
sure.
He's got,
All the way down that road.
I don't know how far it goes.
Well, you would think, because with young Redmond, you've got others.
Well, keep in mind where that swell is and where this building's gonna go. That's quite a distance off the road.
Yeah.
And I know, what is it, JP? They go back 300 to 400 with a transformer?
Honestly, I don't know what the different utilities.
And that's the other wrinkle in this too, because it is a different utility.
But what we have is lines on a page, and all the lines on the page are compliant with your zoning and your code, and so until he comes with a site plan with something,
It really doesn't,
he
it doesn't
can,
matter what.
he can divide his property out as he sees
But you
fit.
know, if somebody had something like the people to the north that were pretty vocal the last time this all come up, that if these questions are asked, they should be answered. That's the only reason why.
All we
Devil's
can,
advocate.
yeah, but we review the application in front of us.
All right, all someone has to say is, we're gonna make a public hearing date for next month, and that will be you, Keith, and all you have to do is say so moved. So, next month.
July 9th. Can I ask you a question?
What's my first one?
Why is the planning board on the 9th and not the 1st?
What was I gonna say?
Because the chairperson and a lot of people were gonna be like on vacation, so they decided it would be a difficulty.
Well, family get-togethers and stuff like that over the weekend. We just thought we'd try that, and we asked if there was any within the board.
July 9th is a Tuesday, that's what we're going with?
Okay.
We're going with that, right?
Just curious.
Make sure I get it set on my phone.
We have a motion on the floor, so.
Second.
One, two, three, where did this go?
You were here. See what you're missing?
He's trying to educate the rest of them.
We're making sure everybody has 7 fingers in one hand. So, but other than
Sharon Steigerwald?
Yes.
Steve Love?
In the right order.
that.
I always think so. Dave Martin?
Yes.
Rich Slider?
Yes.
James Nesbitt?
Yes.
Ed Nelson?
Yes.
Steve Pittman?
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank you, bye, Rich.
And we'll have some further discussion.
Very
about
Never
that.
mind.
Everybody feeling bad. We're good. What do we have for the town board?
Not a whole lot. If you guys got the email, there is some training coming up from the county for stormwater runoff as far as solar farms. I would encourage everybody to do that Zoom meeting if you can. I think it'll maybe be something different than normal
It is.
training.
It's only $20. That's fine with it.
Are there, I have a question.
Well, it's come to our mind, we talked about it last, and before, that some of the newer members, okay, which is gonna be changes like this. Maybe there's some documentation, should go look at these video, it's decent and everything, but someone would like to go back on stuff to review what was said, okay? If there was a paper copy of that explaining why we're doing it or whatever, it would be well used by people that took the video conference. I mean, if they signed up for it, maybe they get a return.
Shouldn't the county have,
They will send out,
Yes.
if anybody requests, they will send
Transcripts.
transcripts out to the people who request them.
And also, I checked, we do have some money in our account. I believe it was like $1,000 for training or whatever. If Finger Lakes does something in the spring yet, or we get something there, maybe we could send one person from there, okay? Where they would get some information, right? I know there's a fall, everybody posted. But, so there is some accountability or money out there if we need to do things like laminate things or anything else we want to have. So, Janine?
No, I don't have anything new to add.
JP?
Not a lot new, we've just been working with the supervisor and, Mike German on looking at honing down the future water service areas that are potentially affordable, giving grant and loan opportunities. We're just chipping away to try and find the sweet spot for areas that would make sense to go for grant and loan applications.
Keith?
I would like to approach, if you wouldn't mind, to show you some stuff.
Dorothy?
I'd like to go up
Well, come on, right
to
up.
the base. So we have, this kind of works out. We have two plans from the same surveyor. Now, this is the Zamiero one, and again, I'm not here to give you legal advice on that, but in terms of looking at it, it's pretty easy to figure out what's going on. You know, he grayed out the old lot descriptions, so what was lot 3, what was lot 4, I can tell exactly where it is. I can see the line that's being removed, and bam, he's calling it lot 1 of the Zamiero subdivision. So he created a brand new subdivision name, and this is the one and only lot of that subdivision. I get that, that's easy. Then I was reading this thing, and I was like, what? I just, there's a lot going on here on one sheet of paper. And I'm not a big fan of that approach. And, you know, I'm looking here and it says red for boundary line. Okay, the boundary line what? Boundary line of the lot, the lots, right? Well, the remaining lands, yes, but not the lot. And, oh, is this the lot? And I was looking at the application materials, which say they're creating 2 lots. Dean Brightly puts a cover letter on and says, well, we're creating 2 lots. Well, yeah, sort of, but not really. They're creating 1 lot. And these are the remaining lands. This one has all the angles, the bearings, that kind of stuff. That's not here. They're just showing what they know about the master parcel. But what they're really creating is this thing. Is that the lot they created? Doesn't say. But, oh, yeah, it kind of looks the right shape. Why the hell do I have this?
It took a minute to
Yeah.
figure it, we sat there and opened up, we're going like,
Shaking your
what?
head.
And I finally figured it out that he was separating out that little piece.
Flag.
Well, yes, and I got there eventually myself.
Right.
And maybe I should have done it quicker, but let me show you something.
No, it took us a few minutes too.
Oh, I think it's
So we have this letter of introduction from Dean Brightly, which says, in its entirety, we are seeking to create 2 new lots at property located at 1765 February. Okay, but that really isn't enough. In all the towns that ever appeared, the design professional, assuming there is one, and by that I mean a surveyor, an engineer, and rarely an architect, there's a cover letter. And the cover letter basically says, here are the existing conditions, this is what we're doing, and here's why. That's what I want. And when Rich was here earlier, he's basically pitching just that. Well, why isn't that on the cover letter that says right up top? So I have that, and I'm looking at this thing, I can just look at his letter and say, ah, that's what he's doing. Long story short, my recommendation would be we should require a cover letter, not from the property owner, who respectfully didn't draft this thing, but from the design professional that says just that. This is what we're doing, this is what we got, that's why we're going there. Something along those lines. So that is my legal recommendation to all of
You
you.
want to put that into a model?
Oh, like a template or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
You
Why don't we
wasted a
do
lot of
that
time.
and,
Well,
share it with JP, maybe put, I know, you know, you 2 guys sit together, but really you disagree, but if you do.
well,
let's get
JP's
anything on your head.
rarely wrong. I'm never wrong.
Oh, God.
You haven't talked to my wife.
I don't know, I've known him
My wife
longer.
tells me I'm always wrong. so that's-
I've known him longer, but,
There you
you were retired, I think, or so.
No.
Also.
Just for a fact.
And
I'd
little
like to
Miss Cheryl.
I'd like to interject something, in support of Keith. I was also told by the property owner that they're making that flag lot to put a barn on there. You know, for another, you know, that's where the barn's gonna go on that flag lot.
Well, you know what?
That says it there on the agenda.
Yeah.
That's
That's
what's in
good,
there, that's
but-
why.
I personally would like to know that up front, just by way of saying, okay? And do I care one way or the other? No, but I'd like to know, so the board knows when they're making a decision, what the ultimate goal is. People run into difficulty or opportunity all the time, and it changes the way they think about how their lot looks at. And we just wanna feel comfortable it fits into the right glove.
I actually have no problem with asking this
Really?
question.
Yeah.
Planning is about looking at the big picture. Now, does he have to tell us about, you know, why, was it RG&E or NIMO, whoever's doing it, who's doing it?
Yeah.
Well,
Tell you what,
thank
if you
you.
would-
I gave up years
If
ago.
you two would be so kind, okay, and deal with Cheryl also, which is an agenda item on the next meeting, for a standard to be observed,
Yeah, but just-
okay?
And I don't want it to be long-winded, just something
No,
to the point.
it's up to you to use the KISS principle.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
it would have
All right.
also helped, the conversation we had on the electric, if we
Yeah.
had known what the reason for this is.
Right.
Had we known they were gonna put a barn on it, well,
That
that's why you
makes
gotta
sense.
have the electric.
I mean,
Bingo.
yeah.
See what you started?
So I'm looking at all this stuff and it looks so much like chaos. And I know why he's showing the existing buildings. He wants to step back and show it's not gonna screw things up. But I'd like to know.
Should we go to the Brightly family or who's ever gonna represent this next month at the public hearing? They should know this up front
You
About
put
what?
some,
about any plans that you're, anything that you're asking for, they've gotta have that up front.
I wouldn't hold them up for this, on this project. I mean, I'm just thinking of going forward on other subdivisions, wouldn't it be nice to get
I
something?
guess it wouldn't be fair to hold them up, but it would be fair to have it in our minutes. And if we do adopt this as a norm, okay, we can put it in the newsletter. Correct.
What newsletter?
Well, we're gonna be looking for a
Okay.
The one that Chris is gonna start.
Okay, there we go.
Everyone has a newsletter.
Yeah.
Right, you know, that starting, August 1st, September 1st, whatever, we're gonna adopt a new method just for, you know, more easily identification of actually what is going on in our town and various things.
Included with the application.
Right, absolutely.
Are we making enough change to where, should I have to go to the town board and be
No, this is an internal.
approved? Should, yeah.
It's not.
We
yeah,
don't
it's-
wanna-
We
This is
don't wanna go too far.
We ask a bunch of
Yeah.
questions here,
Application.
and we expect answers. It's discussion, ask and answers, okay? And if it makes it easier on the whole, it makes it more palatable, it's fine with me.
Gotta make it easier for the customer too.
Absolutely, when you know something right up front, so thank
Thank you.
you. Cheryl. You have anything you want to?
No, no comment.
No comment, or you do have something, you just want to talk about it? Okay. Because one of the Steves wasn't there. We noticed that, and I'm gonna put this very carefully, that a couple people are being overworked in setting motions and seconds and everything else, and it's not fair to the newbies who wanna learn how to do it right, okay? And they wanna hear it from us because we've been doing it for quite a while, all right? So I thought we'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'd be helping people out. If somebody gets stuck, okay?
Should tag out?
Sharon or Dave, okay? people can help each other out, okay? They look to the left, they look to the right, okay? Same here, you know, and you've got a past manager here, right here, okay? And you got a devious guy sits in the corner who figures everything out, he just doesn't yell about it, okay? So we just thought that'd be something that would be nice to start, and I don't like making the motions, excuse me, but to ask for a motion in certain wording, we can make it easier just by asking for that motion in a way that would show up in our meeting minutes, okay? And someone says, so move, okay? They do it all the time, at town board and other meetings and stuff like that. And then one person doesn't get over the cat. Not that they mind doing it, whether it be you, myself, would have been if I was here, okay? Or Jim, who always asks a question, you know? And then as we progress to more difficult projects, like something that'd be a type 1 and everything, it'd make things a lot easier, okay? Because then we're looking at, or special use permits, where we need to have some special conditions for the code compliance officer in order to be able to do her job and regulate some of the businesses. So I took it upon myself to be the idiot to come up with that, so it's,
That's what you
It's fine. I
okay.
feel like going through Mexican customs. Where the light
Oh,
goes
no.
on and
It could be
you're
worse.
it.
It could be worse.
Right, that's what I'm saying, it's not if you're,
It could.
going to, oh crap.
No, that's Canadian custom.
We voted on that.
Idiot. Hey, you wanna make the motion? Make sure you get the right second. No, I don't like seeing difficulty on anybody's face. People are too serious these days about a lot of things, and this is serious what we do. But the people that sit out there and they look here when they're usually here for the public hearing, they're scared to death. They don't know what to say half the time. Or they're afraid they're making a presentation, they might slip and say something they shouldn't. Which, in that case, if we had it on the letter key plans, we wouldn't have to worry about it. But, you know, it's, that's where we're going with it. So anybody else has anything else they want to talk about?
I have one thing, that did come up during the bar review last week, some of the bar too. Some of the people that came in for their assessments to be lowered, one gentleman on Summer Haven, the 2 houses that we approved for the planning board, sit higher than he is, and the runoff comes right into his yard. What can we do?
It depends on who that person was, if we have here a meeting, a public hearing before. Okay, if there's some existing drainage that would work.
They do have, he does have French drains, the gentleman does, and the house has been there for 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
So the runoff there is so much greater that his front drains won't take care of it?
That could very well be, because the other 2 lots, 2 Summer Haven and 5936 West Atoma, are quite a bit higher. Seems like in a little hole.
Yeah, he's in a little hole, that's right.
Well, we did have the
Unless-
drainage in. Yeah.
Unless Albany and Great Lakes Association wants to come up with a whole ton of more money to raise everybody's house with drainage points in, and Lincoln Terrace State Parkway cleans out all their detention basins. How can we, how
I
can
guess
we, I
that's
know,
not
I'm
what I'm
just saying.
asking, but
Right, but what I'm saying, for that person, okay, it's not so much on the local level. They might have a practical difficulty now, all right? Are we responsible for that?
no.
because we were dictated to meet a certain level. So I guess I would only, at this point, if these are rebuilds and they came to us with a site plan
Right.
and they elevated their first floor elevation and changed their grading, we almost, I mean, we always require them to have a grading plan that shows that the drainage will be directed not onto neighboring property.
Contained on site.
And one of our town of Hamlin standard plan notes says, prior to C of O, you need a surveyor to provide an elevation grading certificate. And if they're not doing that, and they're not grading the site per the approved site plan, then that's a violation of their site plan. And they shouldn't, you know, at some point, Cheryl, by all means, when you're doing your inspections and the grading doesn't look right, you can call MRV Group, or you can have whoever the engineer that did it, Schultz or whoever, provide that grading certification to make sure you're matching your grading.
And the one I had nothing to do with, I can't because it's a relative relation, so the fire marshal took over.
Yeah.
And took over for all the inspections and all
Yeah.
that.
But if you're making any kind of grading changes, whether it's for adding a deck or elevating your house, you need a grading plan and a grading certification. Make sure that you're not causing these problems.
I think the problems were always there for that property.
And
The one lot
that
was-
can be
Yeah,
too.
the one lot was an empty lot,
Right.
from Summer Haven, but the other one did have, that's one of the cottage that's supposed to be, still has not been demolished. They have till July 1st to demolish that.
In a house, you can raise your first floor elevation
Yeah, did, yeah.
without changing the grade. You're just simply adding layers of block and
There's
stuff.
plenty of room on that site to do that. Times that we've looked at it,
Mhm.
okay? The only thing I want to say is it's like, well, the water table goes up, and if they have, the people that are having, difficulty, if they have a full basement,
That's
they don't
I
know.
know they have a basement.
And that's creating mold or the pressure on their foundation, that's something that, I guess, is not our responsibility, we live by the lake.
Yeah.
So, but it is good to point out that the elevation grading certificate's supposed to be there. So, and it's not something that we're doing here in the house anymore, we have somebody else do it.
I've never known anyone who's done a grading inspection after the fact. Even going far back as 1970, there's no kind of inspections like that in the files.
Does that raise a good question that maybe a design professional or a professional should take a look at that and certify?
After the fact, like after. the
Yeah,
fact.
no, I would,
grading.
I would,
No,
I
when
would
they're doing
suggest,
grading.
Okay.
I'd suggest prior to issuance of the C of O, that either the building inspector, or if they don't feel qualified, have the town engineer or some other representative look at the site and see, does this match reasonably the grading plan?
You know, it's a good question brought up, because a lot of things we do affect the sensor's ability to focus on what a true value is without somebody that's getting a detrimental effect from something that might have been approved. Outside our preview. JP, would you like to do a note to the town board? That's gonna create an extra, fee of some sort.
Well, it would, I mean, what the standard plan notes say for any site plan we have,
I get that.
I make sure the plans I review from Schultz or Plantek or whoever have the standard plan notes, and it says a grading certification should be provided by a licensed surveyor to show that the grading plan is in compliance.
Okay.
But it hasn't been enforced, I guess is the problem. So if, I certainly, you know,
I only, if you get the C of O, you're never gonna get it done.
Right, because sometimes you have a neighbor that don't want you to do anything on their property line. Okay, so if that practical difficulty comes out, that somebody from DPW or someone that's good with drainage or whatever, can go out there and say, hey, you might have to do this, but,
If it doesn't look
why
right.
spend time on a grading plan to try to create a plan that's palatable and not causing problems, and not making sure it doesn't happen, so that that doesn't run up? I mean, our assessor, knowing the business her husband's in, can probably go out there and tell you if the plan was up.
That's correct.
Okay, I mean, she's probably as qualified as, well, not you, or you. Or you.
Well,
That
so,
was my
you know, it's not
question.
always easy until you see the water playing around. Sometimes you stand in a position and it looks like it's going downhill until
We go
you.
stand on the other end.
Then you go
It's like
stand-
it's going- No,
Yeah.
it's
Go
not
stand on
going.
the other way and it looks different.
And you also gotta take into fact, and the assessor's part, and some of us also in New York State, that in my backyard is not a policy that's being enforceable. The NIMBY president. Unfortunately, every other person in the town is a NIMBY. Because they moved out in the country.
So I would say by all means, Cheryl, if something doesn't look right,
Well, on the one property,
Yeah.
I'm not allowed on there because it is relative. So someone else did all the inspections
Well,
and
then-
everything.
And then call
What?
JP.
give someone else a call, yeah,
Yeah.
and we, you know, get a
That
third
person-
party involved and we'll.
He used to be a building inspector.
That was my question, for the amount of
So
work
you're not
we
doing
do
it.
to look at the.
He's got a lot of plans coming on the way.
He like to have it over, right?
Now,
And then we end up. the assessor board.
Oh, there's been times when people from this
Yeah.
board has gone out and looked at stuff. Okay. And there's something wrong with that. And, you know, if you feel there's something wrong, you can ask the Myra people, if you take a second look, and you can call that smiling guy.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's usually working, it's usually done pretty close. It's it.
with the
Well,
Well, you know where the close
From experience
properties
down
are.
there with the amount of rain we had last year, and that, people already forgot about the floods. That's out of their mind, they're probably never had water in their yard before, and I was accused of creating all kinds of issues down there. And when I pulled up the Google Earth pictures from 5 years ago, lo and behold, there's a big culvert in the front yard. So they forget real fast of what goes on down there. But
Well, it's just those two properties, they were the first two properties that I was involved with when I came on the planning board, and I know how much work JP and the rest of this planning board did to make sure that that did not drain on the neighbor's property. I didn't know that guy from Adam at the time. And then to see him show up at the assessor's review board with that very problem, and I knew how much work went into those properties to make sure that it didn't happen. I was just like, well, didn't anyone check to make sure it was drained right, or that the elevations were right?
Was it a property to the east or a property to the west? Of that property?
Could have been,
He's in the middle of,
he's in the middle.
he's in the middle of those two.
They hold a
properties.
lot of fill in there, you know, and they didn't play, I don't think they followed the grading plan, they just did it aesthetically how they wanted it to look.
I'm curious,
So it might have pushed water around too.
Chris, I'm curious as to, it seems to me that if we approved a site plan with certain drainage on it, according to the data, the survey, and that person does not follow what we approved.
Right.
It seems to me that that's a lawsuit from the party who agreed on it. Because these people came in and didn't do what they said they would do, now there's a problem.
Well, yeah, it puts the onus back on us to a certain extent.
Well,
Well, what can be done there, can Cheryl,
I can.
and you can, but somebody appointed by the town, take a look at whether it's Steve, Mike German, or whoever, so you wanna get somebody from another town to come look at it, then what's the ramification? At that point, can you revoke a CFO? Can you make it happen? Legally, what, what can go on with that?
Your leverage is the C of O, that's the
Right.
best.
That's why I said you have to get something in writing before that.
Without the C of O, most people who are buyers won't close, most lenders won't disperse the final tranche of funds. When I hire, when I represent a builder, typically there's going to be a survey at the front end. A lot of lenders want to see a survey map done, even if it's on an approved subdivision, which I find that amusing. Let's survey the thing that's just surveyed 6 weeks ago. So they'll come out and they'll say, yup, it is lot 2 of the Smith subdivision. It looks exactly like you see on the map. Great, wonderful. Then the house gets built. And then usually most towns want to see a survey that shows the house. Who knew? So they want to see the house, and the bank wants to see the house on there. They want to see everything, at least, they don't care about so much the interior on the survey because it's exterior conditions. And what you don't see is grading. So what you're really talking about maybe is an as-built. And do you want to do that mechanically for every single house? I don't know how much of an expense that is, but it would be an expense to do that extra level of detail. And maybe with that as-built that shows the drainage. Maybe you don't have to do a site inspection, or maybe it just makes a site inspection easier. I don't know.
What I did is, there was an incident survey required before the C of O was even asked for, okay? And I had an inspector, Ken Hawkins, or any of my inspectors. Basically, her would go out and do a grading inspection. That completed grading inspection was done on a sheet of paper, and it was part of the packet. Okay. If it wasn't, we had $1,000 or $1,500 per lot of the insurance, or the owner's guarantee money. We have a 10% and if they refuse to do it, we got together with the litigants people, and we'd say, you're gonna close on the house. You want us, or you wanna hire somebody correctly? Right away, we're gonna take the money. And we'll do it. I don't like to do that stuff, but that's what we did. But we had a grading inspection. Okay, it was from the Department of Works, is all the water would come out and go right away when we worked on it and all that other stuff. So that's another part. It's something we should think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going forward,
The
yes.
difficulty, it's one thing for a single lot subdivision, and we haven't seen multi-lot subdivisions in Hamilton in a long time.
So it's also.
But in a multi-lot subdivision, there's usually something quasi-rectangular on a plan and grading around it to show how it works. And then a house gets built and it has no connection with just a rectangle on a single lot subdivision.
So all grading has to be outside of that box.
Right, or have to, you have to look at each
So
one.
lots have to be correspondingly graded.
Correct, and, some people want a thin ranch, some people want a two-story colonial and a
Put a
footprint
shed, a
change.
pool, and a swale.
And we've gone for the last few years, for quite a few years, with open ditches. So everything is open, and that's wrong. If we've got, you got 2 houses high and 1 low in the middle, maybe he was all right until 5 years later, the grandkids came to play soccer, and we need fill here because there's water running down there. That should have been closed system, 12-inch corrugated or whatever, and then it stays. And then instead of having an open ditch, I think maybe there's some times that we've probably didn't do the right thing.
Depends on the lot size too, little lakefront lots.
You can have trees, okay? You have a swale, and it's a small swale and everything, but every 10 or 15 years, the root structure comes out, and there's all these little dams all around there, and water doesn't go through it. Some kinds of reasons.
But a 5-acre lot, yard swales are gonna work just fine.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all,
Yeah.
My favorite are the senior houses, the patio homes, where they space them 10 feet apart. And trying to, you wanna get that drainage in between the two houses perfectly, because if you don't, somebody's getting paid.
Or if you wanna put a piece of equipment in the drainage, you can't dig, you can't turn. There's no place to put the spoils, they're through the window of the neighbor's house. Good discussion, anybody wanna make another motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Are you in line?
I am now.
I have a question, but that's okay.
Well, wait a minute,
Yeah.
I got a question.
I had a question for,
Okay, off the record.
It's
Oh, we were
not-
talking about drainage.
Ron,
on the farm fields,
He may have had that.
because I get beat up all the
I
time
think we have.
with my slip inspections, so I'm just kinda curious where that was going to, what were you doing?
I haven't talked to Mike about it.
Farm SWIP inspections. Or you do a SWIP inspection.
Yeah.
You do some work, who's doing the inspection to make sure it's right, so it's right?
Well, I'm not sure, he started to make a comment like there was some talk coming up about that.
Solar
Maybe.
farms.
We did, we cleaned that up.
I know, there was a,
Maybe-
what, an
Only solar farms.
Mike's got it.
I don't, well, people talk about that. Forget it, let's just get out of here.
We did